Hey hikers, it's Lee with Trailside Fitness. And if there's one thing you need to know about me, I'm a pretty average hiker just like you. Leading up to our Pacific Crest Trail thru hike in 2018, all I had done were some weekend trips, lots of 3 or 4 night trips, and I had about 20 years of experience doing those types of activities. But nothing is quite like a thru hike. It's a completely different animal than these weekend trips that we're so used to. I'm not an expert in ultralight travel, resupply strategy, the gear that's out there, but what I am an expert in is helping to train and educate hikers to safely complete their long distance hike. I'm going to be real with you here for a minute. The reason I created Trailside Fitness was because I was frightened by the statistics that I saw in preparing for my hike. The statistics of hikers that get injured and are unable to complete their hikes is pretty significant. It's roughly 25% per year. And as a trainer and as a physical therapist assistant, I kind of felt like I've got a good opportunity to help reduce that number some. And that's why Trailside Fitness is here. Like you, over these 20 years of backpacking and hiking, I've had my own injuries, knee pain, foot issues. My shoulders tend to get really painful knots in them. And I've learned and created a bunch of different techniques that have helped me through the years. And I want to pass that on to you. For my wife and I to hike the Pacific Crest Trail in 2018, it took a little bit of work to get there. Both of us were pretty set in our careers. We've been professionals for a number of years. So we had to leave our jobs behind, which is a pretty significant choice to make. We also wanted to make sure that we had enough money saved up to cover the mortgage for the house, which is pretty important. And then make sure that we had actually money in the bank account to hike. Knowing that it's $4,000 to $6,000 per person, we wanted to make sure we had that buffer tucked away as well. On top of that, you've got gear that you're purchasing, you've got training that you're doing, friends and family you're saying goodbye to. There's a lot of competing demands before you leave for this hike. And realistically, in our minds, we knew we only had one shot to do this hike. There's no do-over, there's no second time. Leaving our careers and then coming back to them is one thing, but to do that multiple times is really difficult. So we wanted to make sure on our one shot, we had everything as best lined up as we could for success. After we had done a lot of the preparation work, you've also got that really stressful Pacific Crest Trail permit process. I mean, that process alone probably took years off my life. It is one of the most gut-wrenching experiences you can go through. And it's also one of the most rewarding, because when that permit gets approved and you've got a date to circle on the calendar, that hike suddenly becomes real. You've got a definite date to start and you are on the clock. That's when the training begins in earnest, and that's when you start really preparing to get ready for your hike. So you're standing there at the southern terminus, right? You are super excited. The butterflies in your stomach are on caffeine and they are going nuts. You are just super stressed and excited and fearful and just super emotional about this big journey you're about to start on. It is one of those feelings that you are not going to forget. And the end goal, getting to Canada, is really just a giant question mark. There's really no knowns once you start this hike. I did know as a personal trainer and a physical therapist assistant that our training was ending the day we stepped foot on that trail, the haze in the barn. The only thing that was going to help get me to Canada was going to be daily self-care, so managing the aches and pains as they came up, taking care of nutrition, sleep, some of the basics, and then just staying flexible as we kept slowly making our way up to Canada. Every day on the hike, regardless of how tired I was, I spent some time doing some self-care for my body. Massaging my feet, my calves, making sure the quads are in good shape, stretching my hips out, taking care of the knots I tend to get in my shoulders. All of these things are going to add up, and unless you're managing them along the way, they're going to become a major hurdle for you as a hiker. Now, to do this self-care while we're hiking, I didn't want to have any additional weight. We did carry a lacrosse ball, but there just weren't really many other options at the time. What we did use were things like smooth rocks and stones, branches, trekking poles, my shoe. You can get really creative with how you can manage self-care. And a lot of these techniques I've learned, and a lot of them I've created. And that's what I'm passing on to you. I'm going to teach you all of my tips and tricks to manage common aches and pains while you're hiking. I want you to be as prepared as you can be when you step foot onto that trail to handle any ache or pain that you're having while you're hiking north. As an average hiker who spent a lot of time doing weekend trips and multi-night trips, making the jump to become a thru hiker is pretty significant. There's a lot of investment that it takes to get to this point. That effort comes in many different forms. It's money in the bank, it's physical training, it's preparation, it's planning, it's a lot of pieces that come together. And the last most important piece that you can have is that peace of mind that you have done everything possible to prepare for a successful thru hike. And that comes with this self-care program. You're gonna leave for your hike knowing that no matter what ache and pain is gonna come your way, and they're gonna come, you're gonna be prepared to handle it with what you've got at hand. I'm gonna teach you some really simple and basic techniques that are extremely effective to manage these daily aches and pains and stay on top of your physical well-being. Be more confident when you start your hike that you've got the tools at your disposal to have a successful thru hike. You can take away some of that giant question mark at the beginning of your hike by just knowing I've got all the tools and resources I need to be successful. As an average hiker myself, I'm telling you, it's possible. You can do this, and this program is here to help you.